The National Broadcasting Company presents The Big Show, the first half hour presented by the makers of Reynolds Aluminum, the Reynolds Metals Company, and starring the glamorous, unpredictable Tallulah Bankhead. For the next hour and 30 minutes, you will be entertained by some of the biggest names in show business. Such bright stars as
Fred Allen,
Portland Hoffa, Peggy Lee,
Groucho Marx,
Jackie Miles,
George Sanders,
Meredith Wilson.
And my name, darlings, is Tallulah Bankhead. Well, darlings, our stars this week are just out of this world, and that's where I wish they were. What a crew. The first thing that happened was a violent argument about who was to get the big dressing room. Such petty, childish bickering, and such temperament. But I finally got it. And then they started complaining about the temperature of the theater. George Sanders was cold all day. Groucho Marx was hot all day. I would have preferred it to have been the other way around. But there's one thing I'm always hot about, and that's our darling sponsor, the Reynolds Metals Company. What have you got to say this bright Easter day, sweetie?
Well, Miss Bankhead, this is the time to mention a contribution of Reynolds Aluminum to the colored Easter eggs that brighten the American home today. You see, eggs must be cleaned to take a smooth, rich color. And on modern farms, you'll find aluminum egg washing machines. That's right. The eggs pass through a series of sprays inside an aluminum cabinet to come out with that clean, new look that you're accustomed to. Of course, Reynolds Aluminum plays an even bigger part in egg production as the roofing and siding of poultry houses. Aluminum reflects heat, keeps the hens cooler in summer, warmer in winter. More eggs for Easter and for every day in the age of aluminum. Reynolds Aluminum.
Well, darlings, I'm going to have you meet these big shots on our show this week in person. I hope you'll want to hear, I know you'll want to hear all about them from their own lips. It's a messy way, of course. So I've asked each one of them to prepare a brief biography in the first person singular. And here is the singular first person, Jackie Miles, to tell you his sordid little story.
Miles Jackie. My real name was much longer. Jackie Mile and a quarter. Till I was 6 years old, I was a bum. Then I went to school, and in high school I became a four-letter man. FFFF. Failed in geography, mathematics, history, and physics. It wasn't until I got out of high school that I found out there was no F in physics. My father was not happy with my schoolwork when he had to sign my report cards. I was the only kid in school whose father failed in signature. When I got out of school, I tried to enlist in the Army. Again, 4F. I finally settled down and got married. Have 4 children, all female. Can't get rid of that 4F.
It's funny how pupils who made F's in school get paid off in G's.
A strange thing happened. The doctor slapped me after I started crying. My first brush with a critic. My parents immediately started me in show business by taking an ad in Variety announcing my arrival. Fred Allen has diaper, will travel. I traveled to the three corners of the earth. Since then, there have been many changes. I'm not referring to the diary. I have been in vaudeville, I have been in the theater, I have been in motion pictures, and I have been in radio. Currently, I am in trouble. Trouble spelled sideways is television. Television has not only changed the lives of the performers, but the lives of many innocent people. I heard of a sad case where, after a couple got married on the Bride and Groom television program, they learned that their marriage will not be legal in 12 states for 6 weeks until the kinescope is shown there.
Oh, that's nothing, darling. There are many states where I'm not legal. Well, now, let's hear from the Distaff side of the Allen family. Portland Hoffa, what about you?
Hoffa, Portland, known as Mrs. Fred Allen. My husband and I have been married 23 years, which is the longest run he's had in any medium. Since show business has so many ups and downs, I've told Fred he should have some outside business interests. But Fred has always claimed he hasn't had the time. I pointed out that many show people have the time for outside interests. Bing Crosby has an orange juice business. He has time for that. He owns a baseball club. He has time for that. He has a gadget business. He has time for that. And he also has had 4 sons.
5 more, and you'll have 2 baseball clubs. Well, now we come to the one and only Groucho Marx.
Marx, Groucho. Age, it doesn't matter as long as they're good looking. Ambition, Peggy Lee. I was born in this city. Exactly how long ago isn't important. But I always think of this as my hometown, New Amsterdam. Not to be confused with Maury Amsterdam, who can be bought for less than $24. Lived here with my 3 parents, my mother, my father, and the boarder. My mother had 4 sons. This bit was later stolen by Crosby. One of my brothers played the harp, so they called him Chico. One of them played the piano, so they called him Piano. One of them couldn't do anything, so they called me Groucho. The other one was called Pedro. He was born south of that border I was telling you about. I'm following Dee's instructions. Any questions?
One question. Who's buried in Grant's tomb?
I believe I am after that last joke.
And now I believe we haven't heard yet from George Sanders. May we, Mr. Sanders?
Sanders, George. Actor, composer, singer, inventor, artist, linguist, pianist, and since this is my 7th appearance on The Big Show, masochist. As a youngster, it was my great desire to study at Heidelberg, which is equivalent here to PS 127. Then I wanted to study at Cambridge, which is equivalent to Boys High. But my greatest desire was to study in Paris at the Sorbonne, equivalent here to the Copacabana. Came to America first in Conversation Piece, a play written by Noel somebody or other. And then I went to Hollywood, where I appeared in many pictures, all great. But won public acclaim first in a picture called All About Somebody or Other, starring Betty somebody or other. And finally wind up on this opus starring that other somebody.
Well, that's quite a compliment coming from a nobody. And speaking of nobody, we come now to a man with no body. I refer, of course, to the divinely insane Groucho Marx. From his new record album, which he wrote with Harry Ruby, he brings us a beautifully sentimental song titled There's a Place Called Omaha, Nebraska. Meredith, as our soloist takes the spotlight, can you give him a hitch to Omaha, Nebraska?
A man sat by the fireplace. The fire, it was out. It was out because the logs were soaking wet.
We're soaking wet.
He then turned on the heat to warm his tired feet, which, by the way, were also soaking wet.
So soaking wet.
He then put on his coat and hat and grabbed a nearby cane, and turning to the fireplace, these words he did explain. There's a place called Omaha, Nebraska, in the foothills of Tennessee. My sweetie told me that someday she'll meet me at the corner of Delancey Street and Avenue B. From the shores of California to the rock-bound coast of Maine, we'll settle down in Washington, D.C. In the heart of Omaha, Nebraska, where the best things in life are free, in the foothills of Tennessee.
There's a place called Omaha, Nebraska, in the foothills of Tennessee.
Each night when day is done, we watch the setting sun and listen to the mockingbird sing Mother Macree. When it's snowing in Alaska, where the Swanee River flows, I love you like the honey loves the bee.
In the heart of Omaha, Nebraska,
where the best things in life are free, in the foothills of Tennessee.
Groucho, I could not have enjoyed that more if I'd understood it. And here is something else I don't understand. Now, they tell me I can have a home in Florida, a home in Alabama, and anywhere else I like. Maybe our darling sponsor, the Reynolds Metals Company, will explain.
Well, yes, Miss Bankhead, the answer is, of course, a home on wheels, a trailer, built of Reynolds aluminum. A very special trailer has just been completed for King Ibn Saud of Arabia. 42 feet long with elaborately paneled crown room, a bathroom with gold fixtures, and a luxurious bedroom. Of course, it's Reynolds aluminum overall, frame, roof, outer walls. It's really royal splendor, especially with aluminum's heat reflection to keep off the desert sun. But trailers offer real American luxury for a commoner's pocketbook, too. And like the King's trailer, they're built of aluminum because it's strong, yet light to haul. Rust-proof, so you can paint it or not, and heat-reflecting to keep you warmer in winter as well as cooler in summer. Trailers are very important in today's defense effort, solving the housing problem for thousands of workers. But they can also make a happy traveling home for anybody. As one of America's great producers of aluminum, the Reynolds Metals Company salutes the trailer manufacturers of the nation.
Say, Tallulah, I want to talk to you.
Yes, Groucho?
Yes. Well, that's the shortest sales talk I ever had to give.
Groucho, if you're asking me to go out with you, I just want you to know that you're the kind I throw back.
Well, I am a throwback.
You're conceited, egotistical, arrogant, and completely disagreeable to me, and I'll never go out with you.
Come, Tallulah, stop hinting. If you've got something to say, out with it.
Groucho, the answer is N-O.
N-O?
No.
No coaching. Oh, well, I don't know why I'm beating my head up against the wall talking to you.
Maybe you're trying to get the shape you like.
Tallulah, you're the shape I like.
Well,
So,
that's
how about it?
very nice of you, Groucho, but the answer is still no.
Okay, let's deviate.
And not with you, Buster. I like men that are dashing, adventurers, men who can fly a plane, ride a horse, race a car, sail a boat. That's the kind of men women want these days.
What about being able to do the bunny hug? Doesn't that mean anything anymore?
The bunny hug went out with Herbert Hoover.
Really? I didn't know they were engaged. That old rascal.
Oh, Groucho, you tickle me.
That's a date, Tallulah. Be at my place tomorrow night. We'll dance a little, we'll neck, we'll kiss. 8 o'clock, okay?
All right, darling. If I'm not there, you start without me. By the way, shall I dress?
Would you like to ask another question?
Why? What have you got in mind?
Would you like to ask another question?
Groucho, what do you want me to say?
Tallulah, the secret word tonight is yes. Anybody who says the secret word gets the jackpot. Me.
Groucho, that antiquated line of yours is not making any headway with me. Now, I might have fallen for it before I became a star, when I was a struggling young actress trying to meet important producers.
How did you become a star, Tallulah?
I stopped struggling, darling.
Completely? Well, that's an idea. I'm planning on becoming a producer. Any poor young actress in the house want to stop struggling? Any rich young actress want to start struggling? Any housewife? Any other wife? Any old clothes?
I beg your pardon. This must be the Fibber, McGee, and Molly program.
Go back in the closet.
Another one. Here I am between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Good. I'll be the devil, and George, you be the deep blue sea.
Hey, what do you want, George? And the answer is yes.
That's politics for you. It's yes for him, but Stassen for me.
Well, George, what's on your tall mind?
I am about to sing the aria from Verdi's Simon Boccanegra. It is called, you remember, Il Lacerato Spirito.
Who remembers?
I remember it. I remember it like I remember Mama. Il lacerato spirito. Il, that means sick. Lacerato, well, you know where Lucky Lacerato is. And spirito.
Spirito is my department. But let's clear the stage now for an important first. Ladies and gentlemen, the aria which George Sanders is about to sing is his debut as an operatic singer. He brings us Verdi's thrilling aria, The Tortured Spirit. Meredith, darling, if you please.
Sepolcro dell'angelo mio, ne a proteggerlo valsi. O maledetto, o vile seduttore, e tu, vergine, soffristi, rapita lei la virginal corona. Ah, che di sì, delirò, oh, mi perdona. Strazio d'infamia e di dolore. Miserere, il sorto a lei de martiri, pietoso il cielo tiene, resa al fulgor degli angeli, prego Maria per me. fulgor degli angeli, rega Maria per me. Rega per me. Prega Maria per me.
Bravo, bravo, Senor Sanders. Magnificent, darling. Superbly done. Your rendition of that aria has left me absolutely speechless.
Good.
Now, just a minute, George. Don't you use those monosyllabic insults with me. You're not talking to some young, naive 18-year-old girl.
Pity.
Oh, well, in spite of anything you say to me, George, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one George Sanders. And that's Monty Woolley.
Well, to me, there's only one Tallulah Bankhead, and that's quite enough.
Well, fortunately, there's enough Tallulah Bankhead for everyone. But getting back to your singing, George, I wouldn't be at all surprised that we'll be hearing you soon at the Metropolitan Opera.
Indeed.
And I say that without fear of successful corroboration. Stranger things have happened, George. Now, look at me.
Must I?
Indeed, George. When I first came up here to Broadway, I was just a little country girl from Alabama.
Alabama? Where is Alabama?
Alabama, my tiresome friend, happens to be the flower of the Southland. Alabama is bounded on the north by Tennessee, on the east by Georgia, on the west by Mississippi, and on the south by Florida.
Sounds as if it's in the middle of nowhere.
Mr. Sanders, sir, how dare you? You have defiled and desecrated the hallowed land of my birth. The fair and glorious South, with its gracious way of life, its traditional hospitality, its beauty and grace, and especially, sir, you have impugned the honor of a state of which I am at once proud and humble to be a daughter. The great and magnificent sovereign state of Alabama, sir.
Hear, hear. Of course, I was much more impressed with the performance of Vivian Lee.
Darling, keep in mind you're only here this week because we couldn't get Laurence Olivier. Oh, George, why do you have to stand there quarreling with you? I mean, you and I, every time you come on this show. I mean, why don't you like me?
But I do like you. There are a few things about you that I don't particularly care for, but they're just minor details.
Darling, I have no minor details. Now, why don't we get together and talk about it? Now, I'm throwing a party at my house tonight after the show. Would you care to be the party?
Well, Miss Bankhead, I might be interested.
Miss Bankhead, darling, we're going to get nowhere if you call me Miss Bankhead. Why don't you call me Tallulah, huh?
I'll consider it.
And what would you consider my calling you?
You may call me Mr. Sanders.
Well, now we're back in the middle of nowhere.
Really? Back to Alabama again?
Well, that's what I get for letting you sing on the show. That's what I get for letting everybody sing on the show. You and Groucho sing, but Tallulah Bankhead, the only interesting voice on the show, is silenced. Meredith, come here.
Yes, Captain Bligh.
Oh, George, you know Meredith Wilson, don't you?
Only to say goodbye to.
Hello, Mr. Sanders. I'm glad to see you.
I can understand that.
Oh, Meredith, pay no attention to him. I'm going to sing.
Pity. How about that, Mr. Sanders? How was that?
Pitiful.
Now, Meredith, get back up there on the stand. I'm going to sing.
Okay, men. Get ready with I'll Be Seeing You.
No, Meredith, I'm not singing that.
Oh? Oh, okay, man. Get ready with You Go to My Head.
No, Meredith.
Oh, no. Miss Bankhead, you're not going to kill a new song.
I'll kill whatever song. I'll sing whatever song I like. I'm going to sing Bye Bye Blackbird, and to add insult to injury, George Sanders, you introduce me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear the glamorous and unpredictable voice of Tallulah Bankhead singing Bye Bye Blackbird. Meredith, if you dare.
Pack up all my cares I owe. Here I go, singing low. Bye, bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, and so is he. Bye, bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand you. Always hard luck stories they all hand you. So make my bed and light the light. I'll be home late tonight. Blackbird, bye-bye. Thank you, darlings. Page boys, you may now unlock the doors. What, darling? We lost 3 through the transom? Oh, well, as long as we didn't lose our sponsor, the Darling Reynolds Metals Company. I see they have April the 18th marked on that calendar. Another holiday, sweetie?
Not exactly a holiday, Miss Bankhead. Next Friday, April 18th, is Research Day in Boston, where 1,000 New England manufacturers will meet to plan ways of creating new industries and more jobs through research. What happens next Friday may affect all of us. For when Yankee ingenuity teams up with that vast concentration of scientific brains and research laboratories along the Charles River, known as Research Row, we can expect new developments in electronics, metals, textiles, and chemicals that will further enrich our lives. The Reynolds Metals Company is proud to be a part of this great event and to have its president, Mr. R.S. Reynolds, Jr., to lead the discussion on metals. We salute the Boston Chamber of Commerce and its president, Mr. Ralph M. Binney, for their leadership in establishing New England as one of the research centers of the world.
Here comes the springtime and there goes my heart. Holy, highly, hey, all my resistance is falling apart. Holy, highly, hey.
Sweetie, please go away if you please. Lilacs and smilax and handy.
Fresh morning dew, you are soaking me through with feelings that don't understand me. After the robins, the crickets will start. Holy, highly, hey. Here comes the springtime and there goes my heart.
Holy, highly,
Holy, highly, holy, highly, hey. Holy, highly, hey.
Before we go to Act 2, let me take just a moment to ring my chimes. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
This is The Big Show, Act 2. Tonight on this half hour of The Big Show, we are saluting WMAQ, Chicago's oldest broadcasting station. It was just 30 years ago tonight that WMAQ went on the air. And for those 30 years, WMAQ has been a radio pioneer and a key station of the National Broadcasting Company. And so we should like to dedicate the next 30 minutes of The Big Show to WMAQ, its personnel, and its listeners. Here again is Tallulah.
Thank you, Ed. Well, I guess there's no way out of it, but I'm going to have to turn the big show spotlight over now to a sultry little blonde named Peggy Lee. Miss Lee, despite my unceasing competition, has become one of the most popular recording stars in the country. For her selection tonight, she has chosen one of the memorable songs from the Broadway hit musical, The King and I. It is Rodgers and Hammerstein's lovely ballad, Something Wonderful. Gentlemen, will you take your eyes off Miss Lee long enough to accompany her? Meredith, you too, if you please.
This is a man who thinks with his heart. His heart is not always wise. This is a man who stumbles and falls, but this is a man who tries. This is a man you'll forgive and forgive and help and protect as long as you live. He will not always say what you would have him say, but now and then he'll say something wonderful. The thoughtless things he'll do will hurt and worry you. Then all at once he'll do something wonderful. He has 1,000 dreams that won't come true. You know that he believes in them, and that's enough for you. You'll always go along, defend him when he's wrong, and tell him when he's strong. He is wonderful. He'll always need your love, and so he'll get your love. A man who needs your love can be wonderful.
Well, Peggy, that wasn't bad at all, darling. Following my song, you did the best you could. I'm sorry I put you in that tough spot.
Oh, I didn't mind, Tallulah. I'll follow you any time.
Oh, isn't she brave? But I want to do something to make up for this torturous thing I put you through. What can I do for you, darling?
Could I meet George Sanders?
Anything, darling. Go ahead and name it.
Could I meet George Sanders?
Would you like to ask another question?
No, just George Sanders.
Isn't that just like a Lee? Never surrenders. George, would you come over here, please?
Yes?
Peggy, may I present George Sanders? George, this is Miss Lee.
Mr. Sanders, I'm so happy to meet you.
Well, you've had it, kid. Goodbye, Peggy.
Oh, Tallulah.
Yes, Fred.
I don't mean to barge in on this happy little threesome, but I have rather a strange request to make. Portland Hoffer, or as she is known at the butcher shop, Mrs. Allen, has asked me to ask you to introduce her to George Sanders.
What is this, Sadie Hawkins Day for George Sanders?
Well, it's strange that Portland should ask this to Lula because in the 20-some very odd years that we have been married, she has never evinced interest in men. And this, of course, includes me.
Oh, all right. Come here, Portland. Portland, George Sanders, Portland Hopper.
Mr. Sanders, I'm happy to...
Beat it.
I'm enchanted to be with three such charming ladies.
Oh, thank you, George.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
Thanks for my third, too.
Well, a funny thing happened to me on the way to the theater tonight.
Fred, quiet. You were saying, Mr. Sanders.
Oh, I was saying how cozy it is to be surrounded by three such beautiful ladies, and each of you a different and distinct type.
Oh, thank you, George. I was just thinking of all the times I've seen you in the movies, but in person, wowie, wow, wow, wow.
I like the way you wear your clothes, Mr. Sanders.
Oh, really? Well, now that's quite...
Oh, you look wonderful in that suit.
Oh, you have a wonderful tailor, George. He makes all my slacks.
This happens to be a brand new suit I have on, triple-breasted. If you look closely, there's a small check woven through it, which happens to be the price of the suit. If you care to have a closer look, of course.
Mr. Sanders, that was very interesting.
But I didn't say anything, my dear.
But it's very interesting the way you don't say it.
Exactly what I was thinking, George.
Isn't this revolting?
No, you have a delightful smile, Miss Hopper, if I may say so.
Well, thank you.
And I've been admiring your lovely hair, Miss Lee.
Oh, thank you.
And I must say, Miss Bankhead, that the gown you're wearing is most exciting.
Oh, really, George?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the mystery voice. That character on stage is what is known as an attractive male. He is indulging in what is known as wolf talk. I will translate. I feel I am qualified to translate wolf talk, since for many years now the wolf has been at my door and I have spoken to him through the keyhole.
You really like my gown, George?
The moment you walked in, I noticed how beautiful it is. It's really exquisite.
Translation. When a man admires a woman's clothes, you can be certain that he is not the man who paid for them.
You really think it becomes me, George?
It's most becoming.
He means the rest of her gown will be coming later.
Do you like my gown, George?
I think it's most attractive. But your hair is lovely. Your hair was the first thing I noticed about you.
Any man who says that the first thing he noticed about Peggy Lee is her hair is lying in her coiffure.
Mr. Sanders, do you like my gown?
She is courting disaster.
Most charming, Miss Hoffer. You should wear it always.
He has just saved me $229.95. It was a sale at Klein's.
Tallulah, you don't mind our just standing here talking to George, do you?
I just love talking to him, if you don't mind, Tallulah.
Oh, not at all, darling. George and I are always glad to have you two drop in on us.
By this one swift maneuver, she has just trapped herself a wolf.
Well, I must be going, ladies.
The wolf sees the trap and steps nimbly over the bait.
No, don't say it. Don't say anything. I just want to remember you the way you are. An oasis of loveliness in this desert of reality. I shall take this picture of you with me wherever I go and repeat your three names over and over and over.
The three names he will repeat are Groucho, Chico, and Hoppo.
Well, darlings, I think it's time we heard from our Big Show Orchestra. Meredith Wilson has come up with the most unusual version of an exciting tune. Listen now to the orchestra and Big Show chorus as they present Love is Such a Cheat. Meredith, darling, if you please.
Gypsy coming from the marketplace, riding to a pretty face, and you know what that means. Lots of money in his jeans, the girlie in her teens. The scene is Transylvania, where love is such a mania. The gypsy came from Bucharest, the girl she came from Budapest. Now you can guess the rest. So the wine began to flow, and so did all his dough. They danced a little, sang a little. Gypsy played his violin. He sang to her and she to him. Gypsy played his violin, he sang to her and she to him, her head upon his chest. By an early dawn, found the gypsy gone, leaving tipsy gypsy wondering why. Love is such a cheat, love that should be sweet, leaves and never even says goodbye. One thing is certain, when you're flirting, you will always come to grief. Ah, doctor, lawyer, tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor, beggar, man, or thief. Yes, yes. If there's a heart within you, you'll continue ever to be crossed. Ah, if there's a miss to kiss, you'll kiss the miss, and never you'll be lost. So let the wine begin to flow, squander all your dough, dance a little, sing a little, dance a little, sing a little. Play your violin, you sing to her and she to him, play your gypsy melody. Though your hearts may ache, young hearts never break. Love and you're bound to be fooled through all the years.
"30 years ago today, a new radio station went on the air for the first time. That new station was WMAQ, the oldest in Chicago, and a key station of the National Broadcasting Company. A broadcasting pioneer, WMAQ launched the microphone careers of such stars as Ed Wynn, George Arliss, Ruth Chatterton, Ted Lewis and his orchestra, Fred Waring and his Pennsylvanians. And those are just a few of the names from WMAQ's first year on the air. In later years, WMAQ's talent roster included such regulars as Fibber McGee and Molly, Jane Froman, Phil Baker, Don Amici, Tyrone Power, Ben Burney, Lum and Abner, Vic and Sade, Wayne King, Ransom Sherman, and a fella called Garraway. WMAQ was the first station in the country to broadcast a regular series of educational programs, the first to do a musical appreciation program, the first to present a series for children, and the first to broadcast a transatlantic telephone conversation. Today, WMAQ is proudly celebrating its 30th anniversary, and all of us here on The Big Show want to say, congratulations, WMAQ.
America,
And now, darlings, we can think of no more fitting tribute to the radio station we are saluting this week, WMAQ, and to the city of Chicago, which it serves, than to read the magnificent poetry of a great American poet, a poet who sings most eloquently of America. Here is Carl Sandburg's Song of a City, Chicago. hog butcher for the world, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads and the nation's freight handler, stormy, husky, brawling, city of the big shoulders. They tell me you're brutal, and my reply is, on the faces of women and children, I have seen the marks of wanton hunger. And having answered, so I turn once more to those who sneer at this, my city. And I give them back the sneer and say to them, come and show me another city with lifted head singing, so proud to be alive and coarse and strong and cunning, flinging magnetic curses amid the toil of piling job on job. Here is a tall, bold slugger, set vivid against the little soft cities, fierce as a dog with tongue lapping for action, cunning as a savage pitted against the wilderness, bareheaded, shoveling, wrecking, planning, building, breaking, rebuilding. Under the smoke, dust all over his mouth, laughing white teeth, under the terrible burden of destiny, laughing as young men laugh, laughing even as an ignorant fighter laughs who has never lost a battle, bragging and laughing that under his wrist is the pulse, and under his ribs the heart of the people, laughing the stormy, husky, brawling laughter of youth, half naked, sweating, proud to be hog butcher, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads, and freight handler to the nation.
America lives on.
Thank you, darlings. And now I think it is time
Hey,
for...
Toller, I want you to settle an argument.
I don't settle them, darling. I start them.
Well, start this one then. Fred and I had to do something to keep from falling asleep while you were on. So we've been discussing vaudeville. Do you remember an old vaudeville act called Fink's Mules? One of them was on What's My Line last week.
Groucho, Tallulah, I think... I think Tallulah...
Well, I gave it everything I had.
Well, you can't trust
Not
you.
in my script.
Groucho, Tallulah, I'm sure, is too young to remember those old vaudeville days.
Oh, isn't he sweet?
Not sweet.
Not you, Groucho.
Not sweet, just smart. He wants to be on again next week.
Well, as a matter of fact, Groucho, I don't remember any of those old acts that you remember.
Me? I don't even remember who was Attorney General last week. I'm too young to remember the old days of vaudeville.
Well, I'm younger than you are. I'll leave it to Tallulah.
No, don't ask me. I happen to be younger than both of you put together.
While
Why
we're
don't
on the
you two
subject,
gentlemen
what's
just
your
fight
line,
it out
Tallulah,
between
huh?
yourselves.
Groucho,
Freddie.
do you remember all those vaudeville days of long ago? You and I always stopped the show in our youth when we played Duluth. All the girlies would sigh. Test your memory, Groucho.
Freddie.
Do you recall when Gilda Gray did the hula hula and people had never heard of Tallulah? Topsy, life was topsy in those vaudeville days gone by. Do you remember?
Yes,
If you
I
remember, well, Groucho, you're much older than I. Vaudeville, Groucho, I remember the first time I ever went on the stage. It was an amateur night up in Boston. I got hit right between the eyes with a passé tomato. I saw ketchup stars for 6 months.
I started with a little theater group in Chicago.
Really?
We were playing the student prince in a slaughterhouse. One week business was bad in the slaughterhouse, and they butchered 3 of the actors. They were hams anyhow.
Gosh, some of those small-time theaters I played. Remember the Bijou in Centralia, Illinois?
The Bijou, yes. It was really a delicatessen. They had 3 acts of vaudeville in the window.
The guy who owned the delicatessen did an act himself, remember? He thought he was a comedian. The straight man was an old tongue he had hanging in the window there.
Yes, it was always smoking. Remember that hotel in Centralia, the Elite House?
Oh, God.
What a racket that joint had. On the stationery, it said running water.
So?
The rooms had bowl and pitcher.
Well, what about the running water?
That was the manager's name. He was an Indian.
They had a big sign in the lobby, remember? It said, George Washington slept here.
Yes, he later went with the American Tobacco Company.
Yes, that was over the hill when he went over the hill. But George Washington slept. I had a bed. I think George left his sword in the mattress.
Hey, Fred, remember the Mammoth House in South Bend?
That sword had no point on it. I hope you know. The Mammoth House. The Mammoth. If you wanted a door on your room, you had to rent one from the night clerk.
Yes, they held him for ransom. I don't get any laughs, but I'm lovable. Yes, I remember. The house detective was cross-eyed.
That's right.
He was the only house detective I knew who could look through a keyhole with both eyes.
Did you know many house detectives?
Name me any hotel in the country, and I'll tell you the house detective's first name.
Well, I never met any house detectives.
Fred, what kind of an actor were you?
Groucho, remember that theater in Jasper, Wyoming?
Jasper, yeah.
Jasper was the toughest town in the West. The women wore manhole covers on their charm bracelets.
That town was so tough, the sun was afraid to set at Jasper.
Really?
The sun used to go 20 miles farther west and set at Laramie.
Remember that boarding house at Jasper, Mother Boone's?
Yeah, Mother Boone. She never trusted actors.
No.
The towels were nailed to the bathroom wall.
With that outdoor plumbing, the bath was 2 miles away.
On the way from the house to the bathroom, there were 6 Burma shave signs.
Mother Boone was sure cheap. When you finished shaving, she'd take your lather and use it on lemon pies for meringue.
Yeah, she was quite a character. Give her 1 egg and a bicycle pump, and Mother Boone could make an omelet for 16 people.
She used to make a head cheese with a live head in it.
I never ate it. I can't stand anything talking to me while I'm eating it.
Remember those Western hors d'oeuvres, the old buffet and the chuck wagon there?
The old Buffalo Fay, wasn't it?
Olives,
brother.
Olives, the old Western hors d'oeuvres, olives stuck on a cactus plant, hot lard on calf's ears, gopher in a blanket.
What about Mother Boone's wildcat chowder? She used to milk the wildcat and then boil the wildcat in its own milk. Delicious.
Really? There was a big plaque. Remember, there was a big plaque in Mother Boone's dining room.
Yeah.
What was that?
It marked the spot where Duncan Hines fell. He fainted after the first course.
Jasper, Wyoming. I remember I missed the bus out of there. The town clock was always slow. You know, in the steeple there, buzzards used to sit on the hour hand.
I played with an act in Jasper in 1910.
Really?
I haven't seen the act since. Hap, Duquesne, and Gurley. Do you remember that?
Say Hap Duquesne and Gurley. Hap used to drink a lot.
Yeah, every night he'd go out like a light. And she'd sit there and read by him.
She was always worried about Hap's drinking.
She used to sneak vitamin pills in his gin.
Really?
He was killing himself drinking, and she was building him up.
Hap, Duquesne, and Gurley. That was some... I saw the act 20 times. I don't think they ever got a bow.
That's true, not one bow. Hap had a sacroiliac condition all his life and never knew it until he got out of show business.
Remember some of those acts we used to work with in vaudeville? Ned Close Norton.
Yes.
The best-dressed actor on the Sun Time. Ned used to take a sleeping pill every morning. He wanted people to think he came from Philadelphia.
Remember the Gorman brothers?
With the boxing kangaroo?
Yeah, the kangaroo was punchy.
The kangaroo?
He had amnesia.
Really?
He used to forget he was a kangaroo. They'd catch him trying to sneak into the YW. He knew the house detective there. Of course, you don't have to be a kangaroo to have that happen.
You have had amnesia?
Oh, I've been caught sneaking into the YW.
Groucho.
My mother lived in there.
Oh.
They never gave me a chance to explain. On 2 different Mother's Days, I was thrown out of the YW.
Say, Groucho, remember Major Tiny, the midget sword swallower?
Yes, we were on the bill together in Chicago. The midget swallowed a long sword and stuck himself to the stage.
Say, remember the great Germain? He billed himself the man with the cast iron stomach.
Oh, yes, the great Germain. He used to eat cement.
That's right.
Whatever became of him?
Well, he did 5 shows one day in Omaha. He ate too much cement and hardened to death. You know, they didn't bury the great Germain. They sat him up in the cemetery. He's his own tombstone. The only tombstone I know that has a vest on it.
Yeah, Fred, those were the good old days. And you can have them. Today I'm eating 3 meals a day, I've got a place to sleep, and I'm driving a DeSoto.
Oh.
Fire don't me.
Think.
Fire me if I don't say that.
Think back, Groucho. Things weren't so bad in Vaudeville.
They weren't, eh? I remember one time I didn't have any money. I had to go up to Boston on a cattle train.
No kidding. You rode to Boston on a cattle train?
Yeah. The other passengers were nothing but cows.
Yeah?
When I saw the conductor coming through the train with a milk pail, I got off at New Haven.
Groucho, you have just said the mystery word and you have won the jackpot, which is a music cue. Dearie, life was dreary in those vaudeville days gone by. Do you remember? Yes, I remember. Well,
Brownie, you're much older than I. We have no finish.
You're much older than I.
You have just heard Act 2 of The Big Show, which tonight honored WMAQ Chicago for 30 years, one of America's outstanding radio stations and a pioneer in the broadcasting industry. Tonight, WMAQ is celebrating 30 years of broadcasting as the key station of the National Broadcasting Company in Chicago.
3 chimes of silver, hear them ring, they're ringing throughout a troubled world. What happiness they bring. 3 chimes of silver, ringing clear. Though 25 years have gone, their song will still unfold.
Before we go on to Act 3 and the rest of our stars, I'd like to take just a moment to ring my chimes. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
This is The Big Show, Act 3. This portion brought to you by Dentine, the gum with breathtaking flavor, and Beeman's Pepsin, the gum that's great to chew and good for your digestion, too. By Chesterfield. Ask your dealer for Chesterfield, the only cigarette that names all its ingredients. And by Anacin, for fast relief from pain of headache, neuritis, and neuralgia. Before we return to Tallulah Bankhead, here's something else of interest to you.
For breathless moments, for your breathless moments.
Chew Dentine, the gum with breathtaking flavor.
Dentine tastes so good.
Dentine freshens your breath.
Dentine helps keep your teeth sparkling clean and white.
Dentine, the gum with breathtaking flavor.
Before you go out, and always after eating, drinking, smoking, refresh your breath with Dentine. You'll love Dentine chewing gum, for Dentine has a wonderful, tingling, nippy flavor that lingers on and on. It's delicious. And remember, Dentine helps keep your teeth white, too. Keep Dentine handy. You'll enjoy refreshing your breath when you chew Dentine.
So, for breathless moments, for your breathless moments,
Chew Dentine, the gum with breathtaking flavors.
And here again is Tallulah.
Thank you, Ed. And now a young man who's been with us twice this season and has proved to be exactly what the customers wanted. He's a wistful little fellow with a wonderfully comic outlook on the passing scene. I refer, of course, to Mr. Jackie Miles.
Thank you, Tallulah. And, gee, I feel wonderful this spring day. My wife and myself just moved into a new little house we just bought, and I'll never forget how I got to buy the house. Never forget this if I live to be a million, and I know I look like I got 3 days to go. I ran into this friend of mine, and he said to me, Jack, you still living in that apartment in the city? And I said, yeah. He said, well, Jack, you've got to change. He said, do what my wife and I did. We moved out to the country, Long Island. We got a little house. He said, it's just wonderful. He said, of course, there are some inconveniences when you own a house, but it's it. You own it. It's yours. He says, once in a while, there's a leak in the roof. Doesn't mean anything. $328, you fix it. But it's yours. You own it. Walking in the cellar, sometimes it's flooded. So what? $426, that's straightened out. But you own it. Well, he convinced me, and I said to my wife, that's it. And we started to look around like we read all the ads in the papers, $99 down, $40 a month, own your own home. We almost signed that contract till we read the small print. You have to live there 145 years before you pay off the first mortgage. Well, finally, I had a guy build a house on a little lot, and I tell you, since I've gotten that home, we moved in the other day, I'm just as excited as a kid with a new set of trains. Why shouldn't I be? The Long Island Railroad runs right into my living room. You should see that living room. It's a sunken living room. If it sinks any lower, I'm going to call it the Flying Enterprise. Well, there's one nice thing about the house. I've got to admit, we've got a beautiful driveway. Sure, the house is built in the middle of a highway. Right in the middle lane. It's ridiculous. I've got to stick my hand out of the window every time I want to go to the bathroom. And the things you find out about a house, nobody tells you these things before you buy it, but after you buy it. Like one fellow said to me, Jack, you've got to make sure your attic is insulated. So I went up to check. No insulation. Another fellow said to me the other day, and Jack, every cellar must have a cement floor. I went down to look around. What do you think I found? No cellar. That was the last straw. I called up the builder and I said, this is ridiculous, building a house without a cellar. He said to me, Mr. Miles, don't get excited. These cellars are old-fashioned. Nobody has cellars anymore today. I said, cellars are old-fashioned. What's that furnace in my bedroom, the latest thing? I said, what kind of house and the walls? I never saw walls made out of tissues. He said, it'll come in handy. You catch a cold if you sneeze. I said, if I catch the cold, it's going to be your fault. You promised me storm windows, and all I got so far was the first day of the storm. You never saw a house built like this. I said to him, it's the most ridiculous thing. Who ever heard of a porch on a roof? So he said, don't blame me for that, Mr. Miles. That's your dear lady friend's help, Mr. Lula Bankhead. I told you she'd never be an architect. I said, well, don't blame her for that, because so all she designed was the bar. And let me tell you, you never saw a bar like this. You got to go out in the yard to pump the water, but the bourbon runs out of the faucet. And the most ridiculous things, I tell you, not only that, but one nice thing about the house, at least, is that it's right near a golf course, between the 10th and 11th holes. But it doesn't matter to me, because I don't stay home anyway. And I stay at the golf course and the clubhouse all the time. I can't stand the house. And it's worth it, because some of the things you run into at a golf course are just wonderful. Like the other day, this fellow walked down on a course, and you could tell by looking at him he was playing golf for the first time. Well, the manager of the course, trying to be very polite, said, you're playing golf for the first time, sir. He said, may I suggest an instructor? This guy looked back and he said, I don't need no instructors. He said, I worked myself up from the bottom to the top. Nobody told me what to do, and nobody's going to tell me what to do. I seen this game in the movies. He said, I brought my own clubs. I got 52 clubs. He said, if you want to do anything for me, give me a caddy, that's all. Manager said, yes, sir, I'm sorry. And he got this guy a caddy, a nice little boy, 13 years old. Sandy-haired kid, combed his hair over his eyes. He had big blue eyes, rosy cheeks, freckled face, turned-up nose. It's got nothing to do with the story. I like the description. This poor kid picked up a bag with 52 clubs. The fellow put a ball down on the tee, and the caddy very politely said, your driver, sir? When the fellow said, kid, Nobody tells me what to do. I worked myself up from the bottom to the top. Nobody told me what to do. Never tell me what to do. Give me my putter. Well, the caddy gave him the putter. This fella took the putter with a grip like you've never seen. He held it this way. Swung at the ball with the putter. Believe it or not, he hit the ball perfectly. It sailed 397 yards, landed 2 inches away from the cup. They walked up to the green. The caddy in amazement said, "What an excellent shot, sir. You could use your putter again if you like." The fella said, "Kid, nobody tells me what to do. I worked myself up from the bottom to the top. Nobody told me what to do and never told me what to do. Now, give me my driver." Well, the caddy gave him the driver. This fellow weighed over 200 pounds. He took the driver and he wound up with it. Swung at the ball with everything he had in him. He missed the ball completely, but the wind forced the ball into the cup. Well, by this time, the caddy was afraid to say or do anything. He stood there silent and motionless for about 10 minutes, when finally the gentleman looked at him and he said, "Kid, I didn't mean to holler at you. And I don't mind admitting that sometimes I'll take advice." He said, "Tell me, kid, what club do I use to get that ball out of the hole?"
Well, again, we're fortunate to have 2 fine singing voices on our show, which should be heard blending in one fine song. The song they will sing is Irving Berlin's Immortal Easter Parade. And here are Peggy Lee and George Sanders to do it for us. Meredith, if you please.
It's Easter time again.
In your Easter bonnet, with all the frills upon it, you'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade.
Oh, I'll be all in clover, and when they look me over, I'll be the proudest lady in the Easter parade.
On the avenue,
Walking along,
Fifth Avenue,
life is a song.
the photographers will snap us.
you'll find that you're in the rotograph view.
I could write a sonnet about your Easter bonnet,
And of the one I'm taking to the Easter parade.
On the avenue,
As we walk hand in hand,
Fifth Avenue,
it's a rare wonderland.
The photographers will snap us, and you'll find that you're in the rotograph view. Oh, I could write a sonnet about the Easter bonnet, and of the one I'm taking to the Easter parade.
it's Easter time again.
The mask is off. The mask is off in cigarette advertising. Chesterfield is first to name all of its ingredients because you should know what gives you the best possible smoke. The right combination of the world's best tobaccos, pre-tested by laboratory instruments for the most desirable smoking qualities, and kept tasty and fresh with tried and tested moistening agents, pure natural sugars, chemically pure, harmless, far more costly glycerol. Nothing else. Only these are entirely safe for use in the mouth, as proved by over 40 years of continuous use in tobacco products. And remember, your Chesterfields are wrapped in cigarette paper of the highest purity, the best that money can buy. We name our ingredients because every smoker should know what makes Chesterfield the best possible smoke. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste, and, most important, no unpleasant aftertaste. Ask your dealer for Chesterfields. Sound off for Chesterfields and do it today.
Well, darlings, every week our mail brings us literally hundreds of requests to hear again some of the high spots of the big show. High on the list for some time now has been the request for me to recount the plight of a woman who's awakened early in the morning by the ringing of her telephone. You know what I mean, darlings, when you're jarred awake out of a sound sleep by some revoltingly cheery voice on the phone saying, "Hello, did I wake you up?" Well, that's what happened to me one morning a few weeks ago. I was really pounding the pillow when the phone began to ring. Oh, who? Hilda? She just died. There were some people calling me this morning at the hour. I think I'll just open one eye and see what time it is. Everything's so cloudy. How do you like that? I went to sleep without wiping my glasses. What time does that clock say? 6:60. Calling me up at 6:60 in the morning. Oh, that's not my clock. That's my radio dial. Well, now, I'll never fall back to sleep again. Wonder if I can put my lipstick on without opening my eyes. Lipstick. Here we are. That's it. There. Finish. Maybe I can go through the rest of the day with my eyes shut. Oh, not again. Hello. Impella Terry's residence. He's not home. Oh, hello. No, of course you didn't wake me. I've been up for hours. Oh, just a minute, sweetie. I want to get myself comfortable so we can have a nice, long... Just a minute, darling. There's somebody in my room. Who is that? I see you, you fiendish-looking old man. Stop that. Don't shoot or I'll move. And put down that telephone before I... Phone? Oh, it's the mirror. Hello, darling. I'm sorry. It was the mirror. I got frightened. The red eyebrows scared me. Well, you see, darling, I was using my lipstick before and I missed my mouth. Well, it just frightened me for a minute. I mean, I'm quite all right now. What? Huh? Of course you didn't wake me, darling. I've been up for hours. I showered, I dressed, and I even smoked a hearty breakfast. What? Tonight? Well, now, just a minute. I'll find my book and see what I have on. I don't think I'm doing a thing today. Now, see, I lunch with Philip, ride in the park with Rolly, cocktails with Donald. Oh, by the way, darling, what did you have in mind? Oh, just dinner and then call it an evening. I see. Well, look, darling, I had Charles penciled in for dinner and let's call it an evening. Why don't you call Charles and you two boys have dinner and call it an evening? No, darling, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm a little hurt, I'll admit. Didn't I see you last evening at Morocco with that tall, attractive brunette? Oh, your sister. Mm-hmm. Well, how about that redhead you were having lunch with at 21 last Wednesday? Another sister? Uh-huh. And those two blondes you were with at the colony last Saturday night? Sisters. And that cute little girl you were dancing with, the Waldorf? Another sister. Tell me, darling, how's your mother feeling these days? What do you mean? Who have I been going out with? Well, I've been staying home alone every night. Well, once last week I was out with Jeffrey. Well, you never show up here, so I have to go out with a bore like Jeffrey. Don't mention that horrible Jeffrey's name to me. Oh, by the way, darling, who is this? Hello, Jeffrey. Who do you want to talk to? Tallulah? She just died. I'll tell her you called.
Say, Tallulah, I overheard that conversation you were alleged to have had with one Jeffrey somebody. You know, the fellow who, with all the sisters, and the mother who I hope had hospitalization.
Oh, yes, Fred, what about it?
Well, Jeffrey was pretty lucky. I tried phoning you the other morning, and I couldn't even get past your hotel operator. If I might use your phone and some of the members of your distinguished cast, I'll try to show you what happened.
Well, darling, first give us a moment while we take in a little money here, huh? One of our sponsors has something to say.
If you suffer from pains of headache, neuritis, or neuralgia, you should discover what many thousands have known for years, that Anacin brings incredibly fast, effective relief. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Probably at some time you have received an envelope containing Anacin tablets from your physician or dentist. Thousands of people have been introduced to Anacin this way. Try Anacin yourself the next time you suffer from the pains of a headache, neuritis, or neuralgia. You'll be delighted at how quickly relief can come. Anacin is spelled A-N-A-C-I-N. Your druggist has Anacin in handy boxes of 12 and 30 tablets and economical family-sized bottles of 50 and 100 for your medicine cabinet. Ask for Anacin today.
Now, Tallulah?
Yes, Fred, I'm anxious to know what happened when you telephoned my apartment. Meredith, give our cast a little telephone music. About a dime's worth for the first 3 minutes.
Good morning, darling. Ritz Plaza Hotel, darling. At your service, darling.
Well, I don't have to ask if this is the hotel where Tallulah Bankhead lives. She's even got a man at the switchboard. May I speak to Miss Bankhead, please?
Who's calling, darling?
Fred Allen.
Not the Fred Allen. Fred Allen, the star of,
Well?
I'm trying to think of something you're the star of.
Are you a telephone operator or a critic?
I can put in a plug for you. I don't know what I am.
Please, would you let me talk to Miss Bankhead, please?
Just a minute, please. There's another call. Ritz Plaza, darling. Good morning, darling.
Hello, is that you, Mabel?
I doubt it. Is Mabel a girl with glasses and a cigar and a mustache?
No.
Well, then I'm not Mabel.
Who are you?
I'm taking Mabel's place today.
But I've got a date with Mabel today. What will you be?
You want to ask another question? Besides, Mabel's married. You her husband?
No, I'm her boyfriend.
Oh, the mask is off. Is that you, Jake?
The name is not Jake. The name is Jackie, and I'm an assistant buyer now.
Hold the phone, Jackie. I'm talking to Fred Allen.
The Fred Allen? The star of...
Well?
I'm trying to think of something.
Well, while you're thinking, I better get back to him. Hello, Mr. Allen. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. How long do I have to wait to get to talk to Miss Bankhead?
Take it easy, Mr. Allen. The day is young.
Yes, but I'm not. Now, let me talk to Miss Bankhead.
Your 3 minutes are up. If you want to talk another 3 minutes, you will have to deposit a nickel because the first 3 minutes are 10 cents, and for every 3 minutes after that, it's 5 cents, according to the laws of the state of New York, approved in Albany in 1951 by the authority of the governor of the state of New York, as outlined in the Communications Code, Paragraph 3, Subdivision 1B.
Now, look, wait a minute.
See footnote.
Oh, all right. Here's your nickel.
That'll be another nickel for the next 3 minutes because it took 3 minutes to explain.
Hello, Mr. Allen. I'm ringing Miss Bankhead's apartment. Are you ready to talk to her?
I'm ready to listen to her, if that's what you mean.
Hello, darling. This is Miss Bankhead's butler, darling.
Mr. Fred Allen wants to speak to Miss Bankhead.
The Fred Allen, star of...
We did that bit. He wants to talk to Miss Bankhead.
Just a minute, darling. I'll ask the maid if she's up yet, darling.
Just a minute, Mr. Allen, darling. He's asking the maid if she's up yet, darling.
I'm sorry, she's not up yet, darling.
Miss Bankhead is not up yet.
No, the maid isn't up yet, darling.
Sorry, Mr. Allen, the maid's not up yet.
Well, I don't want to talk to the maid. Isn't there anybody else I can talk to?
You can talk to Jackie. Just a minute, I'll put him on.
Hello, listen, I gotta get a hold of Mabel. I got a date with her.
Jackie, Fred Allen wants to talk to you.
Who wants to go out with him? He's too tall for me.
Operator, I want to talk to Miss Bankhead.
Deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes, according to the laws of the state of New York.
Portland, we did that bid.
Your time is up, and if you wish to continue...
Portland, listen to me. Portland.
Hello, this is the Portland, Oregon operator. What number are you calling?
Operator.
Yes?
Yes?
No, the other operator. The one with all my nickels.
No, darling, she's not up yet, darling.
Who is this?
This, my good man, is Miss Bankhead's butler.
Oh, well, what do you know?
I know that Miss Bankhead is not up yet.
How do you know?
I held a mirror over her mouth. She's not breathing. Obviously, she's not up.
Well, that doesn't prove anything. Is she talking?
Not to you.
Now, look here, old man. This is Fred Allen.
Pity.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Deposit another 5 cents for the next 3 ridiculous minutes, please.
Hello, Porty. Is this you?
Hello, Mabel, is that you?
No, this is Groucho. I'm taking Mabel's place. Didn't you hear what happened to Mabel?
No, I'm sorry to hear it.
I didn't tell you yet.
Well, I'm always sorry. What happened?
Look, I'd like to talk to Miss Bankhead,
Well,
please.
tell me what happened to Mabel.
Well, the other night I called up Mabel and I said, how'd you like to go for a ride in my car? Well, you know Mabel. She always likes to go for a car ride, especially if it's in a car. Plymouth, of course.
May I speak to Miss Plymouth?
Pity. So there we were, Mabel and me, driving along in my car, just the two of us, sitting in the back seat. And all of a sudden, I feel a hand on the back of my neck. Well, for your information, Porty, I was really scared.
May I speak to Miss Information?
Well, whose hand was it, Groucho?
Well, I knew it wasn't Mabel's hands because I knew where they were, on the wheel. She was driving. All of a sudden, I turn around and I see it's Mabel's husband, and he's pointing a gun at me.
Mabel's husband? What was he doing there?
That's what I said. I said, Mabel's husband, what are you doing here? And Mabel's husband says to me, what are you doing here? And I said to Mabel's husband, I'm with Mabel. Who are you with? And Mabel's husband says to me, I was married to Mabel yesterday. You're on our honeymoon.
Well, you sure got to admire his nerve.
You think that was nerve? You should have got a load of Mabel. There she sat through this whole thing, cool as a cucumber, warts and all. And then Mabel's husband says to me, you get out of this car, he says.
And he tells you to get out of the car?
Yeah, me, his own brother.
Then what happened?
He points the gun right at Mabel's head, and suddenly there's a shot.
Miss Bankhead's up now.
Miss Bankhead's up now, Mr. Allen. You can talk to her.
Now I can talk to her. Who wants to talk to Miss Bankhead? What happened when the gun went off?
Deposit another 5 cents for the next 3 minutes, please.
Portland.
Hello, Portland, Oregon operator. What number are you calling?
I want Miss Bankhead.
There she is. Go ahead.
Hello, is that you, Tallulah?
Hello, who is this?
This is Fred Allen.
The Fred Allen, star of...
I've got an answer for that now. Fred Allen, star of Telephone.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to be serious for a moment. It is estimated that cancer affects 1 out of every 5 Americans. But we can strike back by giving generously to the 1952 Cancer Crusade. Mail your contribution to cancer, care of your local post office. Thank you. Well, darlings, next week our stars will be Fred Allen, Phil Foster, Portland Hoffer, Groucho Marx, Ethel Merman, George Sanders, Earl Wrightson, Meredith Wilson, and the Big Show Orchestra and Chorus, and a big scoop. The Drama Critics Award presentation to the best play on Broadway this season, John Van Drutten's I Am a Camera, with an exciting scene from that play starring Julie Harris and William Prentice. Until then, may the good Lord bless and keep you, whether near or far away. May you find that long-awaited golden day today. Groucho?
May your troubles all be small ones, and your fortune 10 times 10. Freddie.
May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. Portland.
May you walk with sunlight shining and a bluebird in every tree. Meredith?
May there be a silver lining back of every cloud you see. Jackie?
Fill your dreams with sweet tomorrows. Never mind what might have been. Peggy?
May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. George?
May you long recall each rainbow, then you'll soon forget the rain. May the warm and tender memories be the ones that will remain.
Fill your dreams with sweet tomorrows. Never mind what might have been.
May the good Lord bless and keep you until we meet again.
May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again.
And Godspeed to our armed forces everywhere. Happy Easter, darlings.
This portion of the Big Show has been brought to you by Dentyne, the gum with breathtaking flavor, and Beeman's Pepsin, the gum that's great to chew and good for your digestion, too. By Chesterfield, the only cigarette that names all its ingredients. Sound off for Chesterfield, the cigarette that's much milder with an extraordinarily good taste and, most important, no unpleasant aftertaste. And by Anacin, for fast relief from pain of headache, neuritis, and neuralgia. The first half hour of the Big Show is presented by the makers of Reynolds Aluminum, the Reynolds Metals Company, who also bring you the Kate Smith Evening Hour on the NBC television network. The Big Show is produced and directed by D. Engelbach and written by Goodman Ace, Fred Allen, Selma Diamond, George Foster, Mort Green, and Frank Wilson. The chorus is directed by Ray Charles. Special musical arrangements by Sidney Fine. This is Ed Hurley saying good night. Enjoy mirth and music with Phil Harris and Alice Faye next on NBC.